New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. And hello again, dear ones. Reverend Robert with you here on the New Thought Media Network. Have I got something special for you folks today? Every so often an opportunity comes along to create a new connection, a new relationship, a new collaboration. And sometimes it doesn't fall into the normal pattern of when things air here on the network and when things get produced. And that's what today is all about. I've got an opportunity to sit down with two of the most amazing women I've met this year, Reverend Barbara and Reverend Gwen. They're both with the Center for Spiritual Living Kenya. And for those around the network that have heard, we're going to Kenya next year. We'd like you to come along with us. And that's why we've got a chance to sit down with these two amazing beings. So everybody else knows that I'm really not all that big on introductions. I like to let folks do that themselves. So Reverend Barbara, why don't we start off with you? Give us the details, let people know what's important, what they need to know before we dive into our conversation today.
It's my joy. Thank you, Robert, for the invitation to come and share life together. What a beautiful gift you're giving to us. Thank you. Hello and happy day, everybody. My name is Barbara Samuel, and I am so delighted to be here. I, along with Reverend Gwen, wherever she's sitting on your little Zoom room there, we are co-spiritual leaders for the Center for Spiritual Living Kenya. We are proud to be here today to share about our community. I am also a staff minister at the Center for Spiritual Living Kelowna, along and as well as being the musical and artistic and creative director with my husband. And we have been at that center for decades, and we have been with Kenya since 2020. Do you want to have a little detail about how we got there, or would you like Gwen to introduce herself first?
Let's let Gwen introduce herself, and we're going to get to how we get from Kelowna to Kenya in a little bit here.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And it's very joyful to be here. And I feel really privileged and honored that Robert invited us in and got this interview in for us. So thank you. My name is Reverend Gwen Smith. I have been ordained since 2018. I took all my ministerial and practitioner education with Centers for Spiritual Living Kelowna. So Barb and I have the same grassroots, and we are now co-spiritual leaders with Kenya, as you know. So I am delighted to be here, and I started in this search for a spiritual life. I didn't know what it was until I landed in Centers for Spiritual Living Kelowna and sat in that audience for the very first time going, I've arrived home. And I know many people have had that similar experience. And here we are today. And it's been a real journey. We honestly have had our spiritual seatbelts buckled for the last 3 years once we have joined up and became the co-spiritual leaders of Kenya. It has been a ride, a real ride of delight and curiosity and adventure and joy and connection and on and on and on and on and on. And we want to take everyone with us.
Yes, exactly. we want everybody to come with and join in the fun as well. And before we get to how the two of you get from Kelowna to Kenya, I want to share just a little bit of how I get to Kenya. Because this was one of those wonderful spots in New Thought Media Network. We were invited last year to attend and help produce and create some video content for Center for Spiritual Living Geneva and their summer retreat, which happened last. And in that's where I got to know Christine and Michael and started to get to meet some of the people that are already part of CSL Kenya, and started to realize, oh, okay, there is an actual community here. There is perhaps something we should pay attention to. Now, we put the word global in our name, in our mission statements, right? We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment. And that means I think it's important for us to support the initiatives where New Thought is rising up across the planet. And so that's how Kenya comes into my mind and comes into my world. But I would love to hear how the two of you found yourselves in Kelowna and also being attracted. I mean, I'm sure there's a straight line between the two, right?
With a couple of, no right or wrong, just right or left, Robert.
Right or left? Okay, the left flight or the right flight, exactly. So,
well,
so share with us, how does that happen?
I would love to. It starts with Reverend Connie Phelps. Connie Phelps was the founder, and she went to Africa, I think 13, 14 years ago. She went to Kenya. She was called. It was a true calling. She had never been there. She had never heard about it. And she said, Spirit spoke to her and said, that was the direct line. Come to Kenya and start this beautiful teaching. And she did. And my connection is Connie was my first teacher in this teaching of Science of Mind. So she lived in Winnipeg in a different province in Manitoba. I lived in Alberta in a different province. And in the days of cassettes, I took my Science of Mind 101, 102 with her, and she would send them in the mail. And once a year I would go to meet my classmates and be together. And in 2020, Connie asked me and my husband if we would come and be the musical and artistic directors for the 2020 conference. And we did. And
how could you say no to that?
What could I say no? And both Gwen and I, my husband and everyone that was there, fell in love. And before we left, I said to Connie, I'm in. Whatever you need, however you need it, if it's classes, if it's participation, if it's whatever you need, I am here to serve this community. Well, unbeknownst to us, Connie was ill and she transitioned actually on June 30th that year. And before she transitioned, her and the board asked my beautiful sister Gwen and I if we would co-spiritual lead this community. And without hesitation or reservation, I said yes. And I'll let Gwen take it from there.
Yes, I met Connie because she would come and speak at Kelowna. And she was just she was so full of life, so vibrant. And would tell us about her community that she was starting to build in Kenya. And then the 2020 conference came along, and I thought, what an adventure. What an adventure that would be. I mean, to go and celebrate with her what's accomplished. And she was paneling. She wanted the conference because she had 4 practitioners to panel. And so it was another form of celebration of the expansion of Kenya. And so I went, and yes, just like Barb said, fell in love. And I just stood there and I claimed that I was coming back. I even looked into going back that same year, but that was 2020. And we all know how that turned out. And, but I was coming back. I wanted to help her teach. I wanted to share the lessons with her and grow the community and kind of give her some relief, because she was teaching 4 classes on her own, 4 Science of Mind, New Thought classes every Sunday, because that's when the Kenyans were available. So I said, you need some help. I'll give you help, even if it's for 2 or 3 Sundays. But I was determined to come back, and I claimed that. And lo and behold, here we are, almost 3 full years, in this position, and it's been glorious.
It has been magnificent. We are surrounded by teams of warriors. I want to give a shout out to our board of trustees. We have a Conscious Living Foundation, which is our board of trustees in Kenya, and all of the volunteers, teachers, and friends and spiritual family who just keep saying yes to us. Yes, yes, yes. And our associations, including you, Robert, we've met you now, and there's no dating. We're married. We're all married. We're all together in this beautiful thing called love and life, and it's magnificent. And so I want to give a shout out to our community too, and our Kenyan community. I mean, we can dive deeper into that, but the willingness of our students to keep saying yes through the struggles of financial struggles, how to get to someplace, internet access, health, so many restrictions, and they just keep seeing the possibilities. And that's magnificent and inspiring to us. Do you remember the first time you walked into a center? Gwen just said it, and you felt your shoulders drop and that exhale came and you said, I'm home. I'm home. Whenever we're in a class with a student, whenever we're on a Froggy Friday, which is our Friday service instead of a Sunday service, whenever we're in participation, I am in the exhale of, I am home. It's so easy.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's a great way to say it. I love it. And yeah, you're talking my language. New Thought Media Network really launched itself in 2020 as well. And knowing the unique challenges we've experienced, I'd love to hear a little bit more what the experience has been like for you to be guiding, leading, nurturing, supporting and propelling the spiritual community from halfway around the planet in the virtual realm. I know each of you are not that you have visited, and I understand you have a regular schedule of when one or both of you are there, and obviously we're all going to be there next January and February. So, but share with us a little bit. What have been some of the unique experiences you think you've had in ministry, ministering from halfway across the planet?
Well, I'll say right off the bat that Zoom was a blessing for us. Zoom was a blessing because we were unable to get to Kenya during COVID and 2020, 21. And this year, actually, 2022 fall, Gwen went, and I went this year, 2023. But Zoom has been a beautiful blessing. It has allowed us to come together at a time when otherwise we would not have been able to do it. And while we do have feet on the ground, we are here. Gwen and I are here. So the Zoom has been an incredible blessing to us, and WhatsApp.
Yes. What would we do without WhatsApp at this point in the world? Gwen, how about for you?
Well, what I really have realized, I mean, obviously what Barb said about Zoom was absolutely true and more, because when you think about Connie doing her classes, people would have to travel 2 hours one way most times, because of taking 2 buses or a motorcycle to get there, have the class, and then return home. So you're looking at close to 5-6 hours. Now with Zoom, they just got to get home and get in front of their computer, and we all pray, we all treat for the continuity of the internet and of electricity, because that's always a thing that can interrupt things. So honestly, one thing I was sitting here thinking about this, having classes in the fall of 2020, we would have all these interruptions, and the students would be so tenacious to stay in class. They would get bumped off, they would come on. They would get bumped off, they would come on. And, we started saying, okay, this has to be included in your prayers, the continuity of the electricity, the internet, etc. And, when I reflect back in the last 6 months, that is happening. We have less people getting bumped out, and not near as frequently. So, we all know treatment works, but I'm just reflecting on, There's a demonstration in our culture, community. But yes, they don't have to travel. They can just be in their own homes. We've created a bond. But the beautiful thing is when our community does get together, because it could be a 6-hour bus ride to get to Nairobi for Kisii and Kisumu communities. And when they get together in person, they've already got this bond, but now they are just in such a physical joy where they can hug and be together and break bread together and share stories, etc. So, you know, the community is growing. It's growing faster because of Zoom. Yeah. Thank you, COVID.
Yeah, true.
Thank you, COVID. You know, it's one of our silver linings of that whole era.
And you say, Robert, oh, good. Go ahead.
I was going to say, because you're saying all the right things, right? When we get together in community, and I want to talk about the fact that, yes, right, this is not only special for those of us that are going to be traveling to come visit, but for the community itself, to be in a shared project, to be in the same space, to be together. And I heard you say 6-hour bus ride, and I understand that I'm going to get to experience one of those 6-hour bus rides while I'm there, because this isn't just let's say a typical North American get together for a long weekend, hang out in a hotel and hobnob with our friends and eat good food and enjoy the conversation. This is a different style of conference. Before we dive too much into it, have you been able to have the conference since that 2020, or is this now the first instance since the 2020?
This is the first one since 2020. It's our second official conference. And you are correct. You are going to dive in and be immersed in the culture in our community, our special sacred community. You will see the culture. You will see how they live. You will see what they've learned and how science of mind, has come into their lives and how it's evolved and changed and enhanced their lives. And it's at the infant stages. And again, I go back to remember when the first time you got to church or a center where you fit, where it felt good. And we are feeling that daily with new community members, with new participants, with new spiritual families. So this conference will immerse you in the culture, in the Kenyan culture, in the science of mind Kenyan culture, and yes, in their roads, and their food. And
just a minute, Barb, just a minute. Those roads are called the African massage. You get
That's our swing. We put the swing on it.
So in 2020, it was developed to be an experience and an adventure, not just that conference. And so you come early for a few days. You get to experience staying at the Maasai Lodge. And it's right at the national park. So you can go outside the boundaries of the hotel grounds with a Maasai warrior.
Only with a warrior.
Only with a warrior for your safety. And you will see the large buffalo. You'll see a giraffe. You'll see baboon. You'll see antelope. It's right outside the gates. You'll go to sleep with the hippos moaning and the lions feasting.
Yes.
I mean, you'll hear that as you're falling asleep.
Oh, I love the idea. Now I'm even more excited.
Then we come back into Nairobi and we have the conference.
Yes. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Go ahead, Barb.
Well, first, the Discover Nairobi, which is the week prior. So if you arrive, our conference will start on that Monday. The gathering will begin on that Monday. And most people will arrive on the 28th, Sunday the 28th. And we'll do Discover Nairobi. And that's exactly what we said, the culture. Where did it start? How did it start? We're going to see parts of the Rift Valley where all of humanity began. We're going to go to Ocean Soul. I've got a little rhino here. This is made out of flip-flops, recycled flip-flops. Nice. So Yes, you're going to see how the hiring and the beneficial of the economy, how they bring in workers for the economy, people to go around, gather things on the beach and then pressing it together. And it's magnificent. And what I love about that company, Ocean Soul, is that the CEO is a woman. And so it's a beautiful balance of men and women in Kenya at that company. We're going to go to the leather factories. We're going to go to the Karen Blitzen Museum. Karen Blitzen was one of the first pioneers in Kenya, and you're going to learn all about that. There's so many things that we're going to go to the glass factory. You're going to walk across the plains with a Maasai warrior. I do this because he's got his little protector club with him. And we walk across this swinging bridge that's swinging. I'm not lying. And on the edge of the mountains, baboons are jumping and swinging, and below is the ravine. And it is life-changing. You're so brave, you're so courageous, and how you do one thing we know is how you do everything. So as you have stepped across that swinging bridge, you will step across into our conference. And our conference is a 3-day event where we have speakers, we have music. So I am also leading the music with my husband, the music team. And we have Kenyan musicians that we've met and fallen in love with. And it's a fusion of our New Thought music with Kenyan rhythms and melodies and lyrics. And it's really powerful, really powerful. So you're going to hear the familiarity of what you know of all of our New Thought music. And it's going to have a little twist on it because we've got Kenyan musicians and you cannot change and stay the same.
I just realized I have to make sure, number one, I bring an extra suitcase to bring stuff back.
Yes.
And
yes.
I also just realized I better make sure I bring enough equipment to record all of this because there's an album in here somewhere. I can already feel it.
Well, Robert, don't bring an empty suitcase. Bring it full because we can tell you what our community will need. So it would be really great for those of us that are traveling from North America. We will give you a list of things that can serve our community, things that they can't get there, and that we will bring here, things that will help them in this teaching and support them. So don't just bring an empty suitcase. And yes, don't go home with an empty suitcase because you're going to have opportunities for soapstones. That was our last 2020 vision. And it says, change your thinking, change your life. That was
beautiful.
And we've got all of our soapstone. There's so much to experience there. And then after the conference, after you are nourished spiritually and filled up to the brim, and you have connected in ways and opened up in ways that you thought, oh, I've been there before. I don't need to be more open. I'm just speaking for myself, how I was. Mm-hmm. You will be cracked so gently straight down the middle, your heart wide open, and you will never be the same. The transformation, it's purposeful. As you land, you will be greeted with love. As you discover, you will be greeted with love. You will experience love. As you get nurtured, spiritually nurtured, the love comes in more. And then you're going to head into the Masai Mara. Friend, that's where we go on safari. And safari in Swahili means journey. Gwen, take it.
Do I have to wait until January, February?
We want you with us. We want you with us.
Oh my goodness.
Now is the time to register. I know you want to go now, but now is the time to register.
Yes. So Gwen, tell everybody a little bit about registration. What do they need to know? Do I have to have shots? Obviously we got to have passports and stuff, but tell us a little bit about what we need to know if we're, for those that are still considering whether or not this is something they want to do.
Absolutely. Yes, shots. Kenya has now lifted the COVID immunity, so you don't need proof of immunization with that. But what they do require is yellow fever injections, a shot. And you don't need one if you're 60 or over. So if you're under 60.
You have a condition. Sorry, Gwen, to interrupt. You don't need one if you have a condition that would prevent you from having one.
And that is where you have to talk to your own local what is it called? CDC.
Nation Department.
Yeah.
Disease. Yeah. So we've actually got a whole frequently asked question sheet that is connected to our registration sheet. So I really strongly invite people to look that over. Your dress is conservative. If you're at the pool, it's fine to be wearing bathing suits, etc. Money, to bring money over, it's called the Kenyan shilling. My experience the last time I went, it was easier for me to actually just go to a bank, use my bank card, and get my own money out, shillings, rather than take any exchange. They do deal with the American dollar, but again, it's all exchanged anyways. I just found it easier to go to the bank and use my debit card or my credit card and get my own shillings once I got there. It's really helpful to have some, I guess, when you get there, because, you know, you come into the airport, you might want something as you leave. But to bring your bulk spending money, I would recommend going to a bank. Is that your experience, Barb?
It is. When I first went, I took American money, and I realized that the second time I went, I actually just took a couple of dollars so I could tip if I wanted to tip in US. And then I just went to the bank and I used my credit card one time. I used my debit card another time because I was curious to see if it could work both. And they both worked. And the money came out in shillings. And they also have a banking that can come out in just US dollars as well. So you'll be covered there. So you can bring some money, so you're covered. But here's the great thing. Here's the great thing. You're picked up and greeted at the airport. Your transportation is taken care of. They're going to whisk you away as part of your registration to the Maasai Lodge. That registration and your meals are all taken care of. When you go to any of the other functions, Seoul, Ocean Seoul, or Karen Blitzen, or museums, or anywhere we go, the Glass Factory, all of that transportation and your meals are taken care of. When you're at the conference, transportation to the conference and your meals and lodging are taken care of as part of your registration. If you decide to go on the safari, that's already part of your registration. The only thing that may cost extra is if you decide you want extra food somewhere on the road and you want to buy extra goodies for your family and friends. But everything as part of that package is already part of the package and you're cared for. There's a couple of meals, like I said, in there where you might feel like, oh, I want something different, and that will be on you. But everything's taken care of.
Love that idea. Love
One-stop shop.
Idea.
The only thing you have to take care of is your flights.
Yes, and help people understand. So there's different ways this package can be built, correct? You can make
it.
Can
you bring up the registration form?
Yes.
And then it's a good thing to see. So these are the outlines of what we're going to be including in each of these stays. So it's come early, the conference, stay late. There we go.
There we go. So there's the come early, stay late. Yep.
Yeah.
So if you come early, you'll arrive January 28th and you'll discover Nairobi. And as we said, then you'll have the conference. Yep. Then we'll have the safari and the stay longer. We haven't talked about that yet. That's where you go up country and you will visit Kisii and Kisumu. They are parts of the countryside that are magnificent. And the journey along the way is breathtaking and spectacular. You will also stop at a tea farm to see how tea is cultivated. It's very big there, tea and coffee. You'll visit our communities in Kisii and Kisumu. Gwen, I'm going to let you take the lead on those.
Kisumu, we're going to be visiting, and Kisumu is right on that big lake, Victoria. And so we'll get to experience a sunset over Lake Victoria. It's beautiful. And then we'll meet the community there, and we'll also visit a school that looks after children who have been infected themselves or have been orphaned by HIV/AIDS. And so we get to see what they have done in that whole program. It's tremendous. It's really tremendous what they do.
How they use science of learning.
And some of the leaders of this is our Science Mind students. Then we'll travel over to Kisii, and it's a county, and we'll meet some of our people there, as well as we will take you to a home where boys are rescued from the street, from the garbage dump, and they are given a home to live with some guidelines, and they do their own rules. They have a lady on site who is a social worker, and she takes care of them. She'll help them detox if they needed to be from addictions. And then they stay there. But there's rules. They have to work. They have to go to school in order to stay there. But they are nurtured. And it's a family. They've created a family. And these boys treat each other like brothers. And so they are given an opportunity. They have to go to school.
They learn a trade.
They have to work their way through school. And then they sit down with Andrew, who leads this home and looks after it. And they discuss what they want to do with their life. What's their dream? And it's honored. And so then Andrew works with them to find the trade or the college or whatever they need to get this dream to be realized. And so, like, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
You will meet one of the boys at the conference. He's going to be one of the vendors, and he's self-taught with art. And I'm telling you, that's what you'll use your suitcase for, is to bring home your Christmas gifts. Because this young man at 17 is so talented and self-taught in the detail. It's magnificent. Yeah, really. Sorry, Gwen, I get excited. You know that about me.
Well, it is. And it's just, your heartstrings are always being pulled, being pulled. Like, I don't know if I would have had, I always think of myself in these situations. Would I have the tenacity to pull myself out of the gutter and the garbage dump? And would I, it's really amazing, the journey that some of these people have risen above. Really. I mean, you met Christine.
Yes.
Right. And her story. Yeah.
Yep.
So then we'll come back. Once we're done up there, we're coming back. We're going to go and we're going to see some more adventures.
Crescent Island.
Yep, there's Crescent Island. And we hopefully will get to go to the canyon. And I can't remember what it's called right now.
Hell's Gate.
Hell's Gate. Last time we couldn't go because there was flash flooding and it was too dangerous. So, and then we're going to go to this tea plantation and just have quiet meditative time. There's a waterfalls to be beside.
All the photos on the trees.
It's a place. Barb visited it, and it sounds like an oasis where people can just take it in a little bit, because it'll be go. You got to have some stamina. You got to have the physical ability to walk over rough roads. We're having like big days. You are going to be in these Jeeps, and honestly, you are going to be bumped around. You got to be able to tolerate all that. It can be fatiguing. This time we are going to do much more spiritual practice along the way, and just nourish our souls and take it in. And, it's going to help our physical being as well then.
Yeah.
So there's lots. You'll go home exhausted.
It'll be a good exhaustion though, folks. We promise.
Exactly. And then you're going to, you just won't be able to take it all in. It'll filter in, but it's going to be life-changing, life-transforming, like it was for Barb and I. We know this.
I'm so looking forward to this, folks. And if you can make this happen, I encourage you, come be a part of it. We'll leave links in the description of today's program on how you can check out the registration details in more detail, or reach out to me here at info@ntmedia.org. We'll make sure we get you connected with the resources you need and the information you need. And we've talked previous to this about how important I believe it is that New Thought supports the uprising of New Thought wherever it happens in the world in relationship to its own culture, not trying to take what we know from here in North America. And what we know is what works in America doesn't necessarily even work in Canada, let alone is going to work in Kenya. So we have to support communities across the globe, wherever New Thought is rising up, to make that part of their culture, make it part of who they are and how it serves them, and then let them teach us how it out pictures, how it shows up.
Exactly.
And it sounds like you've created a great way to do just that, to be, for us here in North America, to come and experience the culture and witness the expression of New Thought outside of what we get in our churches and our centers and our communities on the regular basis. So I want to thank you both so much for saying yes, because I can only imagine. The voice says you're going to Kenya. I know how my ego would respond. I go, where? You want me to do what? So I want to applaud you for saying yes to that calling and supporting this raising up of the New Thought philosophy in Nairobi and across the country of Kenya. This is great work, ladies. Thank you so much for being a part of it.
Thank you, Robert. And before we sign off, I want to say what a joy and honor and privilege it is to serve with Reverend Gwen. She's spectacular, and I love this woman.
Right back at you, Reverend Barb.
All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up for today, but please stay tuned to the New Thought Media Network. Check back with us. I'm trusting we're going to be able to do this again and again in the next handful of months, and we'll check in with you again.
As long as you will have us.
Yes. And boy, are we going to have a big old family hug when we get to Nairobi.
Yes. We will be pressing some flesh, my friend, some flesh.
Yeah, exactly. All right, folks, that's what we've got for you for today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being a part of the New Thought Media Network. Until next time, we wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.